It's that time again. The United States presidential elections is around the corner. Every 4 years, the American people decide whether a Democrat or a Republican get to live in the White House for the next 4 years. But how exactly does the United States presidential elections work? Well, to understand this, we'll have to take a closer look at the entire election year. It all starts with the primary, in which the Democrat and Republican each decide to go to be their presidential candidate. How the primaries work and who is eligible to vote in them vary from state to state. In some states, every registered voter are allowed to vote. In others, only voter can cast the ballot in that party primary. Even the date required held are different in each state, although there are some cluster primary dates, for example, Super Tuesday or Super Tuesday, multiple states hold the primary. And it gets even more complicated than that because the people don't actually elect it directly with the vote. The technically electing delegate will in turn support a certain candidate. In a primary, a candidate is worth a certain amount of delegate or representative than the amounts of vote they receive. The delegate later votes for their assigned candidate. Once the delegate from the various very can be awarded, you can get a worse sense of who would become the presidential candidate. However, the delegate don't officially vote for their candidates until the national convention. In the end, the candidates must receive over half of the delegate votes to win the party nomination. If no candidates receive over half of the convention, the party renegotiates its salary until the presidential rate. Additionally, sometimes candidates would end their presidential bill and delegate would have the vote again. In that case, the delegate don't necessarily have to vote for their candidates again, but are now free to choose whoever they like. This procedure continues until a presidential candidate has been found. Once these two parties have officially choose who will going head-to-head to presidential race, the actual general elections is held on a Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Registered voters over 18 get to vote for their president on that day. However, similar to the primary, the president is not elected directly here either. The vote theory for a candidate determines how many electors are awarded to the candidate. The elector will then elect the candidate. Each state have a different number of electors depending how many people live in that state. But electors can simply vote for the candidates they wish. In 48 of the 50 states, the elected tally are awarded winner take all. This meant the winner of that state gets all the vote from that state. Let's say that state had 10 electors. If at the end of the voting day, the tally won 6 electors of the Democrat candidate, then 4 to the Republican, the Democrat had won the election in the state and get all 10 votes, but the Republican get nothing. The winner takes all. It is why a so-called swing state in which both parties have equally have chance to taking the win. Candidate a campaigning partner in other states. It is hard to predict the electoral outcome pre-election at these states. There was a total of 535 electors. The candidate who can secure more than half of the electoral vote has won the election. This is why the electoral for the swing states are especially important. Once the elector has been awarded, it is basically clear who will be the next president of the United States. While officially the decision is only made by the Electoral College, which is the body make of awarded elector. It is usually 41 days after election day. On that day, the elector would vote for the votes were counted then covered for around the beginning of January and then Congress too, where the next occupants of the White House is later officially allowed. Finally, The inaugurations of the next president take place on January 20th to formally end the election year.